Hi, welcome to the Mindset English channel. I'm Michael Carter. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is not about difficult grammar, confusing rules, or trying to sound like someone you're not. This channel is about helping you use English confidently in real life. And today's topic is one of the most important lessons you will ever hear. How to master everyday English. Fast and easy. Now let me start with a simple truth. Most people who struggle with English are not struggling because English is hard. They are struggling because they are learning the wrong kind of English. They are learning exam English. They are learning textbook English. They are learning perfect English. But real life does not use perfect English. Real life uses everyday English. And everyday English is simple, flexible, and forgiving. If you understand this, English becomes easier almost immediately. Here's something I want you to think about. Have you ever noticed that native speakers rarely speak in long, perfect sentences? They don't. They speak in short phrases. They use simple words. They repeat themselves. They pause. They change sentences halfway. And yet, they communicate perfectly. That's because communication is not about grammar. It's about connection. Everyday English is the language of connection. It's the English you use to greet someone, ask a simple question, respond naturally, explain something small, keep a conversation moving. This kind of English does not require advanced vocabulary. It requires comfort. But most learners were trained to believe something dangerous. They were taught, simple English is bad English. Easy sentences mean weak English. Advanced English equals fluency. That belief is wrong. In fact, it is the main reason people stay stuck. Because when you try to speak advanced English too early, your brain freezes. Complex language increases thinking. Thinking increases fear. Fear stops speaking. Everyday English does the opposite. Simple language reduces thinking. Less thinking reduces fear. Less fear allows speaking. This is why beginners who focus on everyday English often sound more confident than advanced learners who overthink everything. Confidence does not come from complexity. Confidence comes from clarity. Everyday English is clear, and clarity builds confidence. Now let me ask you something important. When you imagine yourself speaking English confidently, what do you see? Do you see yourself using big words? Or do you see yourself speaking comfortably? Most people imagine comfort, not complexity. That's because deep down, you don't want perfect English. You want usable English. English that works when someone talks to you suddenly. You need to respond quickly. You don't have time to think. That is everyday English. And here is the secret most people never tell you. If you master everyday English, advanced English comes automatically. But if you chase advanced English first, everyday English never becomes comfortable. native speakers didn't start advanced. They started every day. Children don't learn speeches. They learn responses. Hi. Okay. I don't know. Maybe. Let's go. Wait a second. This is real English, and this is the English that builds fluency. Another reason everyday English matters is frequency. You don't use advanced English often, but you use everyday English all the time. Every day, every conversation, every situation. So if everyday English is weak, everything feels difficult. But if everyday English is strong, everything feels easier. This is why some learners can discuss complex topics, but struggle with simple conversations. They skipped the foundation. They learned about English instead of learning to use English. Everyday English is the foundation, and foundations must be simple. Now, let's talk about speed. Real conversations move fast. People don't wait for you to build perfect sentences. They expect natural reactions. Everyday English trains reaction. It teaches your brain to respond instead of translate. That's why it feels fast and easy. Not because it's lazy English, but because it's natural English. Your brain is designed for simple patterns. Complex rules slow it down. Everyday English uses patterns like, I think, I'm not sure, it depends. Sounds good. Let me check. These patterns appear again and again. When patterns repeat, your brain relaxes. And when your brain relaxes, speaking becomes automatic. Another big benefit of everyday English is emotional safety. Simple English feels safe. You're not trying to impress. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just communicating. Safety removes fear. Fear blocks fluency. This is why people often speak better English when they stop caring. They are not careless. They are comfortable. Everyday English creates that comfort. Now, let me be very clear about something. Everyday English is not bad English. It is professional English. It is social English. It is real English. In fact, most workplaces use everyday English. Most friendships use everyday English. Most daily interactions use everyday English. Advanced English is optional. Everyday English is essential. If you master everyday English, you can survive any conversation, sound confident, keep interactions going, recover from mistakes. That is fluency. Fluency is not sounding impressive. Fluency is not getting stuck. And everyday English is what keeps you moving. This series is designed to help you master everyday English step by step. No pressure, no grammar overload, no complicated rules. Just real English for real life. Fast, easy, practical. In the next segment, we will talk about the core of everyday English, why simple patterns matter more than rules, and how native speakers actually speak in daily life. If you stay with me, you'll start to notice something powerful. English will stop feeling heavy. And when English feels light, speaking becomes natural. Segment 2. The core of everyday English. Simple patterns, not rules. Before we continue, let me remind you of one thing. Everyday English is not built on grammar rules. It is built on patterns. This is where most learners go wrong. They believe English works like mathematics. Rule first, application later. But spoken English does not work that way. Spoken English works like muscle memory. You don't calculate before you move. You react. And reaction comes from repetition of simple patterns. Native speakers are not thinking about grammar when they speak. They are reusing patterns they have said thousands of times. That is the core of everyday English. Let me explain this clearly. When a native speaker hears a question, they don't create a sentence. They recognize a situation, and their brain immediately releases a familiar response. For example, someone asks a question. The brain chooses a response pattern like, I think. It depends. I'm not sure. Probably. These are not sentences learned from books. These are habits. And habits feel easy. Rules feel heavy. This is why learners who know a lot of grammar still struggle to speak. They are trying to build sentences in real time. But real conversations are too fast for building. You must select, not construct. Everyday English is about selecting familiar patterns quickly. That's what makes it fast and easy. Let's talk about what patterns really are. Patterns are short, flexible sentence starters that can fit many situations. For example, I think, I feel like, the thing is. To be honest, these patterns don't lock you into one sentence. They give your brain time and direction. They act like a bridge between thought and speech. That's why confident speakers sound calm. They are not rushing to find words. They are riding patterns. Now compare this to rule-based thinking. Rule-based thinking sounds like this in your head. Which tense should I use? Is this correct? What if this is wrong? That thinking slows everything down. And when speaking slows, fear enters. Patterns remove fear because they are familiar. Your brain trusts familiarity. This is why children speak confidently with very limited vocabulary. They reuse the same patterns again and again. Adults stop doing this because they think repetition means weakness. That belief is false. Repetition is strength. Native speakers repeat constantly. They say the same things every day. Sounds good? No problem. I'll check. Give me a second. This is everyday English. It's not creative, it's effective. Another reason patterns are powerful is flexibility. One pattern can be used in many situations. For example, I think, you can say, I think it's fine. I think we should wait. I think that works. Same pattern, different situation. Your brain loves this. Less effort, more speed. Speed creates flow. Flow creates confidence. Grammar rules don't give speed. Patterns do. This is why learners who focus on patterns improve faster than learners who focus on rules. They train reaction, not analysis. Let me be very honest with you. You do not need to understand grammar deeply to speak everyday English. You need to feel what sounds right. That feeling comes from repetition, not explanation. Grammar explanations help you understand language, but understanding does not equal speaking. Speaking equals automatic response. And automatic response comes from patterns. Now let's talk about mistakes. Patterns also protect you from mistakes. Why? Because patterns are already accepted forms of speech. When you start with a pattern, even if the rest of the sentence is imperfect, people still understand you. For example, I think, it's not ready yet. Is this perfect English? No. Is it effective English? Yes. Communication succeeds. Everyday English does not require perfection. It requires continuity. Patterns help you continue. Without patterns, many learners stop mid-sentence. They freeze. They restart. That breaks confidence. Patterns keep the sentence alive. Another important point: everyday English patterns are emotionally safe. They sound polite. They sound natural. They sound human. That's why they are used everywhere. At work, with friends, with strangers, in meetings. This makes everyday English powerful. It fits everywhere. Advanced English often doesn't. Now let's address a big misunderstanding. Some learners think, if I use simple patterns, I will never improve. That is not true. Patterns are not the end. They are the beginning. Once patterns become automatic, your brain becomes free to add details, free to add vocabulary, free to express more complex ideas. But if patterns are weak, everything feels difficult. Patterns are the engine. Vocabulary is the decoration. Many learners decorate before building the engine, and the car doesn't move. Now let me give you a mindset shift. Stop asking, is my English advanced? Start asking, is my English usable? Usable English is fluent English. Everyday English is usable. It works when you're tired. It works when you're nervous. It works when you're busy. That's real fluency. Another reason patterns matter is listening. When you know patterns, listening becomes easier. You recognize familiar sounds. You predict responses. You follow conversations naturally. This improves both speaking and listening at the same time. Grammar study rarely does that. Patterns connect both sides of communication. This is why everyday English feels more alive. Now here is something very important. You don't need hundreds of patterns. You need a small set, deeply learned. Most daily conversations use the same 20-30 patterns. Once those are automatic, English stops feeling hard. This is why mastering everyday English can be fast. Not because you rush, but because you focus on what actually matters. This series will help you identify and practice those patterns, slowly, naturally, without pressure. because pressure destroys fluency. Everyday English grows in calm environments. And finally, remember this. Rules explain language. Patterns create fluency. If you want to speak English fast and easy, patterns must come first. In the next segment, we will move from theory to real life. We'll talk about how to use everyday English in daily routines, from morning to night, so English becomes part of your life, not a separate subject. Segment 3. Speaking everyday English in daily life. Make English part of your day. Now that you understand why patterns matter more than rules, the next step is learning where everyday English actually lives. And the answer is simple. Everyday English lives in your daily routine. Not in classrooms, not in textbooks, not in exams. It lives in the small, ordinary moments you experience every day. Most learners believe they need special time to practice English. They think, I need 1 hour. I need a teacher. I need an app. That belief makes English feel heavy. But everyday English grows best when it becomes invisible, when it blends into your life. The fastest speakers are not the ones who study the most. They are the ones who use English without noticing. Let's start with the morning. Your morning is full of simple actions. You wake up. You think about your day. You plan. You react. These moments are perfect for everyday English. You don't need complex sentences. You need simple internal speech. For example, okay, let's start. I need to get ready. Today might be busy. I'll do this first. This is not practice. This is thinking. When you think in simple English, your brain starts treating English as normal. No pressure, no audience, no fear. And this is how fluency begins. Many learners wait to speak English until they feel confident. But confidence comes from familiarity. And familiarity comes from daily exposure. Your brain learns language the same way it learns habits, through repetition in context. Now let's move to daily activities. When you are walking, cooking, traveling, or working, your brain is already narrating life. You can gently switch that narration to English. Not all of it, just small parts. For example, this is taking longer. I should hurry. That looks good. I don't like this. These sentences are simple, but they are real. They connect English to emotion, movement, and decision-making. That connection is powerful because language sticks better when it is connected to action. Another powerful daily moment is small talk. Small talk is not deep, and that's exactly why it's perfect. Everyday English thrives in small talk. You don't need advanced vocabulary to say, "It's busy today." Looks like rain. That was interesting. Yeah, I agree. Small talk trains speed. It trains reaction. It trains comfort. Many learners avoid small talk because they think it's useless. But small talk is the training ground of fluency. It teaches you to speak without pressure. And pressure-free speaking builds confidence faster than deep conversations. Another important daily situation is responding. Everyday English is not about long speeches. It's about responses. Yes, maybe. I think so. Not really. Sounds good. These responses appear everywhere. And when they become automatic, conversations feel easier. The mistake learners make is focusing only on what to say. But listening and responding are just as important. When you respond naturally, conversations flow. Flow creates fluency. Now let's talk about thinking out loud. Thinking out loud is one of the most powerful everyday English tools. You don't need another person. You speak softly to yourself. You say, "Let me think. That doesn't make sense. I'll try again. Okay, that works." This kind of speech is not perfect. And that's good, because real English is not perfect. Thinking out loud removes fear. It teaches your brain that English is safe. Another daily opportunity is decision-making. Every time you decide something, you can do it in English. I'll do this. I won't do that. I'll wait. I'll go now. These are simple sentences, but they train your brain to respond in English without translation. That's important. Translation slows speaking. Direct English thinking speeds it up. You don't need to translate your entire life, just small moments. Those moments add up. Now, let's talk about emotional moments. Emotion is a powerful language teacher. When you feel something, words stick. So when you feel tired, happy, annoyed, excited, say it in English. I'm tired. That's annoying. I'm excited about this. Emotion makes language memorable. This is why people remember emotional conversations better than neutral ones. Use that. Another important daily routine is ending the day. At night, your brain reviews the day naturally. You can guide that review in English. Simple reflections. Today was okay. I did a lot. I need rest. Tomorrow will be better. This builds closure, and it builds consistency. Consistency is more important than intensity. 10 minutes every day beats 2 hours once a week. Everyday English grows through frequency, not force. Now here's something very important. You don't need to speak English all day. That creates pressure. Pressure blocks fluency. You only need moments. Moments without stress. Moments without judgment. These moments reprogram your brain. Your brain starts seeing English as a normal tool. Not a performance, not a test, just a language you use. And once English becomes normal, speaking becomes easier. Many learners say, "I don't have time." But you already have time. You are already thinking. You are already reacting. You are already narrating life. You're just doing it in another language. Switching some of those moments to English costs nothing, but it gives you fluency. This is why everyday English is fast and easy. Not because it's lazy, but because it fits into life. You are not adding a new habit. You are adjusting an existing one. That's why it works. Now let me leave you with a powerful thought. Fluency is not built in study sessions. It is built in daily moments. The more English lives in your routine, the less scary it feels. And when fear disappears, fluency grows naturally. In the next segment, we will talk about how to speak without translating, how to move from thinking in your native language to thinking directly in English. That shift changes everything. Segment 4. How to speak without translating. Think in English naturally. At some point in your English journey, you probably ask this question, how can I stop translating in my head? And maybe you were told, just think in English. That advice sounds simple, but it's incomplete. Because translation is not a habit you turn off. It is a habit you outgrow. Translation exists because your brain is trying to help you. It is the bridge your brain built between what you already know and what you are learning. So, translation is not wrong, but it is temporary. And the problem for many learners is not that they translate, it's that they never move beyond it. As long as translation stays active, English will always feel slow. And slow speech creates anxiety. Anxiety creates silence. So, the goal of this segment is not to force your brain to stop translating. The goal is to give your brain a faster option, because the brain always chooses the easiest path. Right now, translation is the easiest path it knows. We must teach it a better one. Let's understand what actually happens when you translate. You want to say something. Your brain first creates the idea in your native language. Then it searches for English words. Then it checks grammar. Then it speaks. That process is long. Speaking does not wait. Real conversation moves forward, even while you are thinking. This mismatch is what creates pressure. So how do fluent speakers avoid this? They don't think in sentences. They think in intent. Intent comes before words. For example, you feel agreement. You say, yeah. You feel hesitation. You say, maybe. You feel uncertainty. You say, I'm not sure. These responses are not translated. They are released. This is how automatic English begins. Your brain learns to connect feeling and purpose directly to English sounds, not through your native language. So the key question becomes, how do I build that direct connection? The answer is pattern repetition under low pressure. When pressure is high, your brain reaches for control. Control equals translation. When pressure is low, your brain experiments. Experimentation creates new pathways. This is why you speak better English alone than with people. There is no pressure. So the solution is not more thinking. It is more safe speaking. Here is the first practical shift. Stop translating complex thoughts. Start responding to simple situations. You don't need to translate. I need to express a complicated opinion. That will always trigger thinking. Instead, train. Yes. No. Maybe. I think so. I don't know yet. These responses are everywhere in daily English. And once these become automatic, your brain learns something powerful. English can come out without translation. That lesson changes everything. Another important shift is reducing sentence length. Long sentences increase thinking. Short sentences allow reaction. Fluent speakers often sound fluent because they use short, complete ideas, not long explanations. For example, instead of trying to say everything at once, they say, "Let me think." Then pause. Then continue. That pause is not weakness. It is control. Pauses give your brain time to respond instead of translate. Another mistake learners make is forcing full sentences. But real English allows fragments. Yes, probably. Not really. Could be. Fragments are natural, and they reduce pressure. Translation thrives on full sentences. Reaction thrives on fragments. This is why everyday English feels easier. Now let's talk about a powerful daily exercise without calling it an exercise. Labeling your environment. When you see something, don't describe it in your native language. Label it in English. Busy, quiet, cold. Nice place. One word is enough. This creates direct connections. Your brain learns. This word equals this experience. No translation needed. Over time, these connections grow stronger. Another powerful method is predictive thinking. When someone speaks, don't translate every word. Predict the response. Your brain already knows how conversations usually go. Use that. For example, if someone asks a question, your brain expects an answer. You don't need to translate the entire sentence. You listen for intent, then respond. This trains reaction. Translation weakens because reaction is faster. This is why listening improves when speaking improves. They are connected. Now let's address fear again, because fear strengthens translation. When you are nervous, your brain wants certainty. Translation feels safe. So to reduce translation, you must reduce fear. That means slow down, accept mistakes, speak less, but more often. Short, frequent speaking trains. Automaticity better than long, rare speaking. Think of it like building muscle memory. You don't lift heavy weights once a week. You lift lighter weights regularly. Automatic English is built the same way. Another key idea is thinking in English about simple things only. Don't try to think deeply in English at first. That's unnecessary. Fluent speakers don't think deeply in any language all the time. They react most of the time. Deep thinking happens occasionally. So start with surface-level thoughts. I'm hungry. I'm tired. That's fine. Let's go. These thoughts appear daily, and repetition builds speed. Speed kills translation. Now here's an important truth. You will never decide to stop translating. One day, you will simply notice that you didn't. That moment comes quietly. You answer in English and realize afterward, oh, I didn't translate. That is progress, and it only comes through use. not force, not discipline, use. Finally, remember this. Translation is not your enemy. It was your teacher. But now it's time to graduate. Automatic English does not replace translation overnight. It crowds it out. With faster pathways, with simpler patterns, with repeated success. And once English becomes the fastest way to respond, your brain will choose it naturally. In the next segment, we will talk about confidence. Why everyday English actually sounds more confident than advanced English, and how simplicity makes you sound calm, natural, and fluent. Segment 5. Building Confidence with Easy English. Why simple sounds strong. Let me tell you something that may surprise you. Most confident English speakers do not sound confident because they use advanced English. They sound confident because they use easy English. Simple words, short sentences, calm delivery. That is the real source of confidence. Many learners believe confidence comes from speaking fast or using big vocabulary. But in real life, fast and complex English often sounds nervous, not confident. Confidence sounds calm, and calm comes from simplicity. Easy English reduces mental pressure. When pressure is low, your voice becomes steady. Your pauses become natural. Your body relaxes, and people feel that. Confidence is not in the words, it is in the energy behind the words. Everyday English carries low emotional weight. You are not trying to impress. You are not trying to prove intelligence. You are simply communicating. That mindset alone changes how you sound. Think about how you speak in your native language. You don't search for advanced words. You don't try to sound smart. You speak naturally. That naturalness is confidence. Easy English helps you reach that state faster. Now, let's talk about fear. Fear does not disappear because your English improves. Fear disappears because your expectations lower. When you expect yourself to speak perfect English, fear stays high. When you expect yourself to speak understandable English, fear drops. Easy English lowers expectations in a healthy way. You give yourself permission to speak. Permission builds confidence faster than skill. Another important truth. Confidence is not something you feel before speaking. Confidence is something you feel after speaking. Every time you speak and survive, your brain records evidence. It learns. I spoke. I was understood. Nothing bad happened. That evidence creates confidence. If you wait to feel confident before speaking, you will wait forever. Easy English helps you act before confidence. Because it feels safe. Safe actions are repeatable. Repeatable actions build habits. Habits build confidence. This is why learners who focus on everyday English progress faster than those chasing perfection. They speak more often. And frequency beats quality at the beginning. Another reason easy English builds confidence is speed. Simple sentences come out faster. Faster responses reduce awkward silence. Awkward silence increases anxiety. Reducing silence increases confidence. For example, instead of trying to build a long sentence, you say, "Let me think. Not sure." That works. These phrases buy you time. Time reduces pressure. Pressure is the enemy of confidence. Easy English also makes mistakes feel smaller. When your sentences are simple, mistakes don't feel dramatic. You can correct yourself easily. You can continue. Continuation is confidence. Stopping is fear. This is why fluent speakers keep going even when they make mistakes. They don't stop the conversation. They adjust. Easy English makes adjusting easier. Another powerful confidence builder is predictability. Everyday English is predictable. You know what to say in common situations. Predictability reduces fear. Fear comes from uncertainty. The more predictable your responses are, the safer your brain feels. This is why repeating the same patterns daily builds confidence faster than learning new words every day. New words excite the brain. Old patterns stabilize it. Stability is confidence. Now let's talk about how you sound to others. People don't judge your English the way you judge it. They judge clarity, calmness, willingness to communicate. Easy English delivers all three. A simple, clear sentence spoken calmly sounds confident, even if the grammar is not perfect. A complex sentence spoken nervously sounds weak, even if the grammar is correct. This is why everyday English often creates better impressions than advanced English. Confidence is perceived, not measured. Now here's an important mindset shift. Stop asking, "Do I sound fluent?" Start asking, "Do I sound comfortable?" Comfort is what people respond to. Comfort makes conversations flow, and flow feels like fluency. Another reason easy English builds confidence is control. You control simple sentences. You know where they are going. Complex sentences control you. They require planning. Planning creates tension. Easy English reduces planning. Less planning means more presence. Presence is confidence. Let's also talk about voice and pace. Easy English naturally slows your pace, and slow pace sounds confident. You don't rush. You don't panic. You speak clearly. This is why many confident speakers speak slowly. Not because they are slow thinkers, but because they are relaxed. Easy English creates relaxation. Now think about consistency. Confidence is not built in one conversation. It is built across many small moments. Easy English makes it possible to speak every day, not just in special situations. Daily use builds familiarity. Familiarity builds confidence. Confidence makes English feel natural. This is the cycle. Another mistake learners make is comparing themselves to others. They hear someone using advanced vocabulary and feel insecure. But that comparison is unfair. You are building foundation confidence. Advanced English can come later. Right now, your job is to speak without fear. Easy English helps you do that. And once fear is gone, learning accelerates. Finally, remember this. Confidence is not about sounding impressive. Confidence is about not being afraid to speak. Easy English removes fear faster than any other method. That's why it works. That's why it feels fast and easy. Not because it's lazy, but because it's aligned with how your brain works. In the next segment, we will focus on common everyday conversations you must master, the exact situations that appear again and again in real life. When you master those, English stops feeling unpredictable, and predictability creates confidence. Segment 6. The Everyday Conversations You Must Master. What actually happens in real life. Now we move to the most practical part of this entire series. Because no matter how strong your mindset is, no matter how well you understand patterns, no matter how confident you feel, English only becomes easy when familiar situations stop surprising you. And real life is not full of random conversations. Real life repeats the same few conversations again and again. That is good news, because it means you don't need to prepare for everything. You only need to master what actually happens. Everyday English lives in a small number of conversation types. When these become familiar, your brain relaxes. And when your brain relaxes, speaking feels natural. Let's break this down. 1. Greetings and openings, where most learners freeze. This is where everything begins, and this is where many learners panic. Not because greetings are difficult, but because they happen suddenly. Someone says, "Hey, hi, how's it going? What's up?" And your brain has about 1 second to respond. If you don't have an automatic response, panic appears. So the goal is not to create clever answers. The goal is to have ready, simple responses. Everyday English greetings are short. They are not deep. They are signals. For example, "Hey," "Hi," "Good," "Not bad," "Pretty good." That's it. You don't need full sentences. Native speakers often don't use them either. The mistake learners make is trying to give a perfect answer. That delay creates awkwardness. Simple, fast responses create confidence. 2. Small talk, the most common conversation type. Small talk is not useless. It is social glue. It keeps interactions comfortable, and it follows predictable patterns. Topics repeat: weather, work, daily life, plans, responses repeat too. For example, "It's busy today." "Yeah, very busy." "Same as usual." "Nothing special." These are not boring. They are functional. And functionality is fluency. Small talk teaches you to speak without pressure. There is no right answer. There is only participation. Participation builds confidence. 3. Asking simple questions. Clarity over perfection. You don't need advanced English to ask questions. You need clarity. Everyday questions are direct. For example, "Can you help me?" "Do you know where this is?" "Is this okay?" Simple structure, clear intent. The mistake learners make is adding extra words. Extra words increase thinking. Thinking increases fear. Simple questions reduce pressure, and people respond positively to clarity. 4. Responding to questions. The art of not overthinking. Many learners freeze not when asking, but when answering. They feel pressure to give a good answer, but everyday answers are often short. For example, yes, no, maybe, I think so, not sure yet. These are complete answers in real life. You are allowed to be unsure. Uncertainty is normal. Trying to sound certain creates stress. Easy English accepts uncertainty, and uncertainty sounds natural. 5. Saying you don't understand, a confidence skill. This is one of the most important everyday conversations, and many learners avoid it. They pretend to understand. That creates anxiety. But confident speakers stop conversations when needed. They say, "Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't catch that. Can you say it again? This is not weakness. This is control." Stopping confusion prevents bigger problems, and people respect clarity. 6. Making simple requests. Requests appear everywhere. At work, in public, with friends. Everyday requests are polite but simple. For example, "Can you check this? Could you help me? Do you have a minute?" You don't need complex polite structures. Tone matters more than grammar. Calm tone equals politeness. 7. Ending conversations, where many learners feel awkward. Conversations don't need perfect endings. They need clear endings. Simple exits work. All right. Thanks. Talk later. See you. You don't need explanations. Ending cleanly removes tension. Tension is what makes conversations feel uncomfortable. 8. Handling small mistakes. Naturally, mistakes will happen. That's normal. The key is not stopping. Simple recovery phrases. I mean, sorry. Let me say that again. These phrases keep flow alive. Flow equals confidence. Stopping equals fear. Why mastering these changes? Everything. When these conversation types become familiar, your brain stops panicking. Because fear comes from uncertainty, and familiarity removes uncertainty. Your brain learns, I know this situation. I know what to say. I can handle this. That belief is fluency. You don't need new words. You need predictable responses. This is why mastering everyday conversations is powerful. It reduces surprises, and fewer. Surprises mean less fear. Less fear means more speaking. More speaking means faster improvement. This is why everyday English works. Not because it's easy, but because it matches real life. In the final segment, we will bring everything together and give you a fast and easy daily practice system, 10 to 15 minutes a day, that turns everyday English into a habit. No pressure, no apps, no stress, just real progress. Segment 7. Your fast and easy everyday English practice system, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now, we bring everything together. Because understanding everyday English is not enough. You must live it. And the good news is, you don't need hours, apps, or pressure. You only need 10 to 15 minutes a day, done the right way. This system is designed for real people with real lives. No homework, no memorization, no stress, just consistent, natural use. First, let's change how you think about practice. Most learners believe practice must feel difficult. If it's not hard, they think it's not working. That belief is wrong. Fluency grows fastest when practice feels easy and repeatable. Difficulty creates resistance. Resistance kills consistency. Consistency builds fluency. So the goal of this system is not intensity. The goal is daily repetition without friction. Step 1. Morning English, 3 minutes. You don't start the day with grammar. You start with awareness. As soon as you wake up, say a few simple English thoughts out loud or quietly. For example, "Okay, new day. I need to get ready. Today might be busy." That's it. 3 minutes. This tells your brain, English is part of my day. No pressure, no audience, no fear. Step 2. Pattern activation. 5 minutes. Choose one everyday pattern for the day. Only one. Examples. I think. I'm not sure. Let me check. Use this pattern repeatedly in your day. Not in a forced way, just when it fits. This builds automatic response. Repetition creates speed. Speed creates confidence. Step 3. Real-life reaction. 3 to 5 minutes. This is where English becomes real. During the day, speak English in one real situation. One response. One sentence. One attempt. It could be greeting someone, asking a question, responding naturally. That's enough. One real use per day beats hours of silent study. Your brain learns from action. Step 4. Recovery practice. 2 minutes. At night, briefly review. Not grammar, not mistakes. Just say, I spoke today. I tried. That's progress. If something went wrong, say, that's okay. I'll do better next time. This trains safety. Safety removes fear. Fear blocks fluency. Why this system works. It follows how the brain actually learns. Small exposure. Low pressure. Daily repetition. Real context. You are not forcing English. You are integrating it. And integration is what creates fluency. Important rules. Do not skip these. Do not correct everything. Correction slows flow. Do not wait to feel confident. Confidence comes after action. Do not compare yourself. Comparison kills progress. Do not skip days. Short daily use beats long weekly use. What progress really looks like. Progress is not speaking perfectly. Progress is less freezing, faster responses, easier recovery, less fear. These signs appear quietly. One day, you will realize, I didn't think. I just spoke. That moment is fluency beginning. Final truth. Every day, English is not weak English. It is powerful English. It works in real life. It sounds confident. It feels natural. You don't need to master English. You need to use it daily. Fast, easy, consistent. That's how fluency is built. And now you have the system. If this lesson helped you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Mindset English, and share it with someone who's struggling with English. Remember, English is not a test, it's a tool. Use it.